Hi, and welcome to this new episode today. I'm with Jamie Love. Welcome to the show. And we're going to talk about the raw vegan diet and especially longevity, health and longevity on the diet. So, Jamie, I've looked at your before after picture. I think you're 39 now, and there was a picture on your Instagram when you were maybe 20 or 21, and you look much younger, like 20 years later, and much more fit. It's like one of the craziest transformation you've ever had. And now you're specializing in giving advice for longevity, and you definitely embody it. So that's an interest of mine. So I'm excited to have you today, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here to share with you and see where the conversation goes.
Amazing. Well, so I like people to introduce themselves to start with so people can understand your journey. So if you want to share in a nutshell about your journey.
Okay, so in a nutshell, when I maybe 20 years ago, my aunt was diagnosed with cancer. And at the time, my family was not vegan. I never ate meat growing up. I was more pescatarian. I did eat fish and dairy and eggs, never ate any kind of meat or anything like that. But when my aunt was diagnosed with cancer, my mom went on this rampage of trying to find a natural cure for her. And she started reading all kinds of books. I had never heard the term organic before this. I didn't know what vegan was. So we went vegan. My mom inspired us to go vegan. We started juicing, we started doing enemas, colon cleansing, and we also started fasting 1 day a week. So I started doing this, I started implementing this into my lifestyle 20 years ago. And then I got pregnant with my son, and I kind of fell off the vegan thing. I fell off my health journey. And when I got pregnant, I used that as an excuse to eat whatever I wanted to and didn't exercise, had the horrible habits, lounge in front of the TV all the time. And, after I had my son, well, with my pregnancy, I gained 50 pounds with him. And, I went, back and forth between over the past 20 years, I've been off and on vegan. But then when I had my daughter, when I got pregnant with her, I gained 60 pounds. And after I had her, I looked in the mirror and I was just so disgusted with myself. I was just like, why have I done this to myself? The baby's only 7 pounds. The baby came out, and here I am with all this weight on me. My face was bloated, just, so much inflammation, redness, and just didn't look healthy. My eyes didn't glow, and I was not vibrating youth, health, and vitality, even at the age of 26. So I knew I needed to make a change, and that's when I discovered his name is Dr. Furman, and he basically inspired me to go back to plant-based, but this time instead of plant-based, the unhealthy vegan diet, it was more greens and vegetables and fruits and, a healthy whole food vegan diet. And so I did that, and I was like, okay, I got to start exercising again. And then I was watching on the news and I saw Annette Larkin. I had never heard of a raw vegan diet before in my life. And when I saw her on the news, oh my gosh, it was just like truth just started coming in. I was so inspired. You have no idea. And she was in her 60s. She looked like she was in her 30s. And I was like, that's it. I'm going raw. So, like, I bought her little book, and I read she's talking about sprouts and juicing and all this stuff, and I was just blown away. I had no idea that you didn't even have to cook your food. I was like, what? This doesn't even make any sense. It was so shocking to me. Never heard of it before. So I ended up going raw, and that was 12 years ago. So my raw journey started 12 years ago, then off and on 12 years of being, raw, off and on. And really, it has just been a process, a journey of self-discovery, because I don't believe that the raw food diet is a destination. I believe it is a journey. So the whole process of getting here has been my journey of exploration. It's been a spiritual path for me. And working through all of my addictions and my shadows and my traumas, and healing my inner child, healing my relationship, healing all aspects of my life. So that's basically where I'm at today. And So the thing with the youth and the longevity, the anti-aging aspect of it is, I don't know if it's just because of the habits that I've been implementing over the past 20 years, but people tell me all the time that, I look, and not just look, but I radiate youth. So I have a very playful spirit and I'm very excited and, I have lots of energy. So people are always asking me what I do. And, I'm ready to share that with the world. I'm ready to tell people like how to naturally reverse aging and, well, maybe not even reverse. I mean, I do feel like we can reverse, but even slow down and just preserve our youth. So
Mm.
in a nutshell.
Amazing. Yeah, and I've seen your pictures with Bryan Johnson, for example. So I know he's hot on YouTube at the moment. So we'll talk a bit about that. Talk about some of the tips. But before that, I'd like to dial down a little bit on, can you give an idea of what you eat in a day? Like, are you fully raw? Do you make exceptions?
Well, like I said, because I've been off and on raw for 12 years and I've been fully raw for many times, many times I've gone fully raw. So the first time I went fully raw was 9 months. That was 12 years ago. And then I went off of the raw vegan diet. And then it took me 8 years to go back to eating 100% raw. And I did that for a year and a half. But every single day I tried to go raw. I started my day out eating raw, but then I would maybe end up eating cooked food for dinner, or I would go 2 weeks
Mm.
eating fully raw and then, kind of go back. So it was just been this process of trying to learn how to go raw. And then I ended up getting a job at a vegan kitchen and, I got free food and everything, cooked vegan food. So I ended up going back to cooked food. And then maybe 6, 7 months ago, went back to, has it been 7, 8 months maybe, went back to raw. And it's basically, I would say maybe between 80 to 100% based on any given day. Sometimes I'll go a week eating 100% raw, and then some days, I'm eating, raw, and then I have like one cooked thing for dinner or something like that.
Okay.
So majority raw. The goal is to be 100% raw, but like I said, it's a process. So,
And high fruit also? High carbs?
um, I do eat, not fruitarian. No, I do like, I eat a lot of chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. I like the seeds. I love sprouts. I'm not big on salads, but I love just eating like raw cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers. Yeah, I guess it would be high fruit because, even though
These are actually
they
fruits,
are
right?
fruit. Yeah.
Tomatoes, bell
So
peppers, and cucumbers.
not the sweet fruits. I do like I love dates. I keep it really simple. When I first went raw, I would spend hours making these gourmet raw dishes. Now I eat very, very simply.
Mm.
And I love smoothies and I haven't been juicing, but when I get into juicing, I like to basically do nothing but juice all day and then maybe have a little something for dinner. So, my goal is to eventually evolve to, maybe liquidarian and eventually breatharian at some point because
Mm.
I did have this awakening that, I am a breatharian. So that was the download I got.
Awesome. We'll keep that
Yeah,
more towards the end, but
yeah.
we'll touch on it. I put a note there. Next, I'd love to ask you if you can share some of your top tips for anti-aging.
Well, like we were talking about diet, what you put in your body and what you take out of your body. So taking out the things that are actually accelerating aging and speeding it up and preventing our body from regenerating. So the raw vegan diet to me is the fountain of youth. And the second thing would be detox therapies. So incorporating fasting, juice cleansing, even if you did like a 1 day juice cleanse once a week or a 3 day juice cleanse once a month, just incorporating these into your lifestyle. Um, and then I did do a very extended juice feast at one point, like 2 years back. And I really feel like that transformed me, really giving my body that time to heal.
Was that with
Also,
Shane and Raw Vegan Heroes?
no, it was before I found Shane, but he he reminded me of how amazing it was. So I think I might end up doing it again at some point with him and his group because it just looks like so much fun, doing it with a whole bunch of people. I've been doing everything by myself. I never had community or anything. So fasting, definitely exercising, moving the body, stimulating the lymph, skin brushing, rebounding. I've done parasite cleanses, liver and gallbladder flushes, getting gallstones out. Also, H2O oxygen therapy. I've done once a year for the past 10 or 12 years. I've been doing that. Not really something that everybody's a fan of, but the same thing when I had a friend that had cancer and she told me about the 1 minute cure. So I started doing that, and I haven't been to a doctor in over 10 years. I never get sick. What else? And colon cleansing. So the
Okay.
detox therapies, diet detox, and then energy and mindset. So this is probably my favorite part of, the anti-aging is your energy and your mindset. So youthfulness is a state of mind, and true beauty is a state of being. So all these heavy emotions that we carry around, our traumas and everything, weigh us down. They're very heavy, and negative emotions show up on our face. So it's really important to have a spiritual practice, or to have some type of tools or, modalities in place so that you can clear this energy, release stored tension from your body, like yin yoga, breath work, going out in nature, putting your feet in the grass, being in the sun, eating, high vibrational foods, listening to frequencies like solfeggios, and then also your mindset. So affirmations, changing your beliefs, subliminal reprogramming. While I'm doing my natural beauty care routine, I like to listen to frequencies to, heal the telomeres on your DNA. Um, Different anti-aging affirmations and subliminal things like that. And what else? And then just embodying like a youthful spirit. So the same thing with these heavy emotions that kind of weigh us down. The opposite is true for what I call godlike qualities. So love and humility, kindness, compassion, understanding, forgiveness. These things make a person young and beautiful at heart, right? So if you think of Betty White, not sure if you know, she was on the Golden Girls, but she was maybe 95 when she passed, but she was so vibrant and full of life, and she was still acting up until, she passed away. She was a famous actress, and she just had this youthful spirit. So it's not really how old we are, what our chronological age is. It's really just the spirit that we're embodying. Because you can be in your 20s or 20 years old and feel like you're 90 or 80, you have like no energy and your body's stiff, or you could be in your 90s and you're running marathons and you're, full of life and you're playful. Okay, so energy and mindset, very important. And the thing with that, what the godlike qualities too is, kindness makes you the most beautiful person no matter what you look like, and love. So like when you see somebody radiating love and kindness, like they're beautiful and they're youthful and radiating so much energy and vitality. And then the next thing would be healthy habits. So not putting chemicals on the skin, just using all natural beauty care. Facial exercises, facial lymphatic massage is really important. Good sleep. um, and then the biggest thing, because everybody's going to do something different. You're going to do different things from what I do, different from Marcus and Kara, different from Bryan Johnson. But the thing is discipline and consistency. And those are like, discipline and consistency are the keys to success. So even though like maybe I haven't been consistent with, eating a raw vegan diet over the past 12 years, or consistent with, fasting every single week over the past 20 years, I'm still doing the same habits. So it's just staying consistent with everything and like, still doing the same thing that I was 20 years ago. And that's pretty much the tips that I have for anti-aging, the diet, detox, energy and mindset, healthy habits, and then just staying disciplined and consistent with whatever you're doing.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. And you have an ebook, right? So maybe I can put it in the description of the video that recaps this.
Yeah, I have a little guide. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm working on more. I'm gonna have a little course coming out and um, lots of exciting things.
Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, I love what you shared around coming from within and radiating that joy and youth. And at the same time, I think people want to like look like you at 39, like not just radiating love, but also like looking young, like from a more aesthetic way. So I think that's really interesting also, and awesome that you shared those tips.
Thank
I'm
you. Yeah, well, that comes with the natural beauty care routine, and we can talk about that later if you want.
okay. Yeah, I'm also interested, yes, because you talked about Bryan Johnson, and he's like in a very masculine, scientific oriented way, really into um, reversing aging. And I like actually having you. It looks like it's a more intuitive, natural approach. So Bryan Johnson, I know you told me you didn't have the chance to ask him questions, but I know you go to his meetups and you've looked at him a bit. Like in the end, a lot of people study longevity and they end up having quite different views. Like I've studied Peter Attia and Mark Hyman and Bryan Johnson, and some include a little bit of meat, and some like Bryan Johnson, he takes like 70 pills, every day or something like this. Why do you think people who study longevity end up on like different ways like this, and some more natural and some not?
Oh, that's a tough question.
It is.
His diet is very clean for a raw for a vegan. It is very clean. He doesn't use any salt. He's only using olive oil. Specific, if we're talking about Bryan Johnson specifically,
Yeah.
I would recommend his meals to people who are vegan who don't want to go raw. And that's the thing, is that not everybody wants to go raw. And if he's looking at it from a marketing perspective, especially if he wants to sell to the masses, not everybody's going to want, to live that lifestyle. And if
Well,
he's
but
selling
if I can
yeah,
pose you, if I can pose you there, having watched his
yeah.
videos, he doesn't care about what people think. All he cares about is his tracking
Oh,
and
his
having it
tracking, his tracking.
and
Well,
having more
it
longevity.
is interesting. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it is interesting about me using more of an intuitive and coming from a spiritual aspect, because he would say, he would argue, well, we can't measure that. Everybody has a lot of opinions, but what can we actually measure? But the thing is that I haven't measured myself. I would love to measure everything that I'm doing to see how it's actually working,
Mm.
putting it on paper. That would be ideal, really, because I don't think there is one way to really go about it. And like, even um, you hear about people who live very, very long lives who do eat meat, or they drink alcohol, right? So that may not necessarily be what's stopping them. So it is interesting to know what actually promotes a long life. And, you were talking about, or you mentioned maybe wanting to talk about like these blue zones, and they all have something in common, right? Because, either whether it's community or service or giving back to their family, or having a purpose in life, these things also, but you can't measure that either, right? So I would argue that, you know, there is a piece missing there, right? Because there are people who are slowing down aging and they are living a very long life, and they're not really doing they're not doing what Bryan Johnson's doing. They're not measuring, and they're not, but they are, doing whatever they're doing is working for them. And
Yeah.
I think that that's the thing, is to figure out like what is working. But for me, I find what's working for other people and then I try it. So I'm like, I'm gonna listen to somebody who's doing it, like Marcus Rothkranz and Kara Brotman. they're in their 50s, they're radiating. If they told me to go eat this crazy fruit in the Amazon because it's, that's what they do, I'm like, okay, I'll try it. If you do it, I'll try it. I don't need scientific proof. If you're doing it and it's working, I'm gonna try it. So use myself as a human guinea pig. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a bit what I do sometimes. It's like Shane Sterling also, like, okay, well, it looks like it works for you. I'll try it.
well, it's a because I said to Bryan too, I said, I go by how I look and feel. And that's what Kara Brotman says as well. I go by how I look and feel. And
Yeah.
I think that is measurable. To me, that's measurable. If you're looking in the mirror every single day, whether you can see it, on a machine, what the numbers are, and you're going by, I have zero pain in my body. I have my energy levels are through the roof. My mental clarity is sharp. I mean, that to me, that's great, whether you're measuring or not.
Yeah, it is very interesting because Brian Johnson has this scientific approach, and I definitely use the mind, intellect, scientific studies to influence the way I'm going to eat and live in general. But especially when it comes to one single individual, like when you really want to test things, usually you do double-blinded, placebo-controlled studies, but you can't do that on yourself. Like Brian Johnson, he can't have a version of himself eating a raw vegan diet and compare, right? So all he can do is try different things and test, but first, there's only so many things you can try. And second, it's very hard to isolate other variables when you just like he has his life, he can be more stressed the months
Mm-hmm.
when he tries raw vegan. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't just use science because you can't do a double-blinded placebo-controlled study on yourself, just by definition. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's really
Yeah.
interesting, and I follow him. But at the same time, yeah, it is the limitation. And it's the same. I watched that documentary on Netflix on the Blue Zone, which was interesting. And at some point I think it was for the Mediterranean diet, wine was listed as some of the things that help them get longevity. But again, it's hard because I can't think of a place where they live super healthy and with raw fruits that we could compare with. But I don't know.
Yeah, I know. And I thought about like breatharianism too, thinking like, maybe that's the key to immortality or, living a really, really long
Yeah.
life. But then I saw this story, I was watching this podcast yesterday, actually, and the guy was talking about breatharianism, and there was this, I don't know if he was a monk, but he was a breatharian he hadn't had any food or water for 70 years, but he died at the age of 95. And I'm thinking, okay, like, why did he die?
Mm,
He's a monk, he has no stress in his life, breatharian. So what, maybe it was just the time. I don't know. you know,
yeah. Yeah, my view on it, you've probably read Man's Higher Consciousness, right?
Not the whole thing. Not the
Okay,
whole
yeah.
thing. Yes.
But yeah, it's like I find the ideas make sense, and then for me, that's why for now, at least, I'm definitely stopping at the high fruit, high raw vegan and building on that, and I keep an open mind. But
Hmm.
I haven't found a lot of reliable role models and inspirations that feel really grounded so far. But
For longevity.
for in the Breatharian world,
Mm,
like I haven't found people like Shane, Sterling, Ted Carr, or even older people like Doug Graham or Marcus or Lou Corona. I haven't found like those guys. I'm like, okay, it's been 20 years they're talking about doing it, they document it. Like there's a lot of I feel there's a lot of things that make me not want to trust right now some of the
hmm.
people who talk about it and maybe don't always embody it. But I'm really open to the idea. And
Hmm.
even now, if we go in like almost more mystical territories, I was reflecting on that guy who said he's going to live forever and officially passed away. But I mean, for me, I also have a vision of consciousness and the universe where um, actually there's no really a reality, which is what you learn in yoga too, and everything's a
Yes.
representation of your consciousness. So
Yeah.
maybe that person passed or transitioned from my perspective because maybe because I don't believe in it. So anyway, I'm open-minded about it,
Yeah.
and I love having conversations about it. But right now, I just love food, and when I tried fasting on water for 2 weeks, early July, I was weak. That was my reality,
Mm.
So I'll see if it comes, without pushing it.
Yeah. I definitely think that you have to be on a certain level of consciousness in order to even go down that route. But I do know that caloric restriction has been linked to longer life. And I think fasting is so important, even if we're not doing long fasts, just implementing shorter fasts, just to stimulate autophagy, at least for the anti-aging purposes,
Mm.
to produce the human growth hormone, because ultimately we don't really know how long we're going to live and how long we'll be here. But if we can increase the quality of our life while we're here so that we can fulfill our life mission, our purpose of why we came here, and ultimately serve and give back, then our life will feel more meaningful. It will, we'll have better relationships. We'll have more energy to do everything that we want to do. We'll get more ideas. I think quality of life is really the thing to think about more than trying to live forever, because do we really want to even live forever? Because this could be the bottom of it, like you said, it's like this world, if it's just an illusion and this is just a dream, then we could be, something really amazing could be waiting for us when we do transition. So
Yeah, and that's been for me something with like filling into like different goals. So calorie restriction is a good example. In general, one thing a lot of experts agree on is that calorie restriction is really helpful for longevity, not eating so much. At the same time, I'm at the moment excited about building muscles, and often, at least in a non-Brazilian paradigm, you build muscle also thanks to like the fuel of the food and eating enough.
mm-hmm.
And so there is a choice to make also, I think, at some point between like, are we obsessed with longevity like Bryan Johnson and do everything in that way? Or like want to factor in things we want to do in the moment that might not be the best for longevity, but that are fun, or
Mm-hmm.
different goals. Like for example, yeah, if someone wants to build like a lot of muscle, wouldn't be my case, but let's say like really a lot, they're probably gonna harm their longevity, but maybe that's their path, and
Yeah,
it's
I
perfect and will eternal anyway, as you said, like it's
right.
so there's no
Yeah,
need
I've
to
just
be as long as possible in this body, in this life. But I can say for me, I'm having a great time on this plane. And I'm definitely making one of my priorities to stay fit and energized and healthy in this current body-mind complex and in this current reality, let's say.
yeah, I've decided, like, I can't be too rigid and
Yes.
strict on myself, because the stress and the guilt of, like, let's say I do go to a raw vegan restaurant and I eat I eat too much, or I eat something gourmet, like I can't feel bad about it, because that feeling, those emotions, that is acidic. That's gonna, harm your body more than what you actually just ate. So, just giving ourselves grace, and like you said, just living in the present moment, and not worrying too much about the future, or because I mean, we could die in a car accident tomorrow, not really to have fear of around death or anything, but really truly enjoying our life right now, and just having um, just just having the best experience that we can right now,
Mm.
but also setting ourselves up for the future without worrying about it too much.
That's such a beautiful point. And when I was watching those documentaries on the blue zones, actually, something that comes up a lot is love and community and support and those more emotional, low stress and those emotional component, which is something I don't think Bryan Johnson hasn't factored too much. I don't think he's included like beautiful community time so much as part of his longevity routine. So I'm interested to see how he's doing on this too. But yeah, at least according to the Blue Zone documentary and also what makes sense, being relaxed and having a lot of love around us is really important. So thanks for adding this.
I think it's so important. Actually, I think that is more important than diet, to be
Mm,
honest with you.
mm,
I think how relaxed we are and not being stressed, and because being present is timeless. Like you said, we are eternal beings. So when you're in the present moment, you're not actually aging. And the power of now, Eckhart Tolle says in the power of now that you actually age a lot slower when you're living in the present moment.
yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that was such a good, I loved it, I love that we went also into this territories and it's very holistic. So I love your approach. Thank you so much for sharing. Very quick practical question. So you haven't tried doing I don't know, DNA methylation test or telomere test or something to track your biological age?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I think you
Maybe I
should.
will
I
though.
want to do it, but it's hard to do in Bali. But if I was in the US, I'd probably do one.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I'm not 100% sure where I would go about that. I guess I just I don't know. Like I don't go to a doctor. I don't have blood taken. I just trust that I'm in perfect health and I believe that I'm in perfect health. And um, yeah, think yourself young, think yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I would
I
love to
love
know.
that. I love that. I think it's just my more masculine analytical mind likes to have data-backed things, but also like that you have that feminine approach based on the feeling. And actually, there is a limitation also in wanting to have those measurements. So it's an interesting answer, and I'm actually I'm curious, but yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm not saying you should do it.
I want to, but I was actually thinking when you were talking about Brian Johnson, the double-blinded study, and I was thinking about the girl that he took on, and I think I want to say she's probably in her 20s. I don't know, maybe she just looks a lot younger for her age, but um, to me, she looked like she was in her 20s, or maybe she's around 30. But I was thinking it would have been better to do his regimen on somebody his own age or somebody like closer to 40, to really see how the levels work and how his protocol works. That would have been interesting. Or to find a female like myself who's slowing aging down, and to try a different protocol and see how that works. That would be really
Yeah, you should
interesting.
ask him. That'd be so
I
interesting.
know, maybe one day. Yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah.
thank you so much, Jamie. That was a really insightful conversation. Thank you for your beautiful energy and for your time and your insights. And I'll give you the last share for if there's something you want to tell the listener.
Oh yeah, thank you. Just eat healthy and take care of your skin, and don't put chemicals on your skin. Healthy habits. And if you'd like to find me, my Instagram is agelessbeauty143, and I have an online community. I also have a raw vegan meetup in person here in Los Angeles. So if you're here, come check us out, and don't be afraid to send me a message if you have any questions. I'd love to chat with you. And thank you so
Amazing.
much. I really appreciate you and look forward to working with you again someday.
Thank you, Jamie. Much love, and thank you to the
Namaste.
listener.